Welcome back, Boilermaker fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for this week's Purdue Report with Jake Dunn. Jake and I are doing the Purdue Report in person for the first time at Stage 22 in beautiful Elwood, Indiana. Jake made the trek all the way here from Charlotte just to do the podcast. Or maybe he has family here that he's visiting as well, but mostly just to do the podcast, right?
Yeah, just the podcast.
That's what I said. We are going to be joined a little later by Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader, who is with us right now, but she is working on some other stuff, so you might hear from her, but she's not really part of this podcast. But we're going to be talking about the Old Oaken Bucket coming up pretty soon. She'll be part of that with our IU guys, Grant Schaus and Mike Hutzel. I'm not sure how much we're going to enjoy that one. So for this podcast, Jake, we're just going to talk basketball, and we are definitely going to enjoy this one. Your number one, Purdue Boilermakers, were out of the number one spot there for a week, and then everybody came to their senses.
Kind of surprised that Arizona only had 11 first place votes after what we saw with the Houston debacle. I kind of thought Arizona, could argue they have the best resume in college basketball, and
sure.
I'd probably agree with that.
I've been seeing a lot of Arizona should be number one stuff, and they probably have an argument. But the truth is, number one at the beginning of the year, two of the best wins in college basketball so far this season. They're number one.
Yeah.
Purdue is your number one team. As impressive as Arizona has been. Trying to pull up the rest of the rankings here, but Houston is number 3, Duke 4, Braylon Mullins, UConn Huskies are 5th, Louisville 6th, Michigan is the next Big Ten team in 7th, then Alabama, who Purdue has already beaten on the road, moved up 3 spots this week. BYU, one of those teams I mentioned this week, Jake, that if you're looking long-term might be a little scary down the road. The defending champion Florida Gators are 10th. Michigan State, 11th. Illinois, 13th. It's hard to know if I'm missing anyone in the Big Ten anymore because there's so many teams. UCLA is 18th. And Wisconsin's getting votes. Oregon's getting votes. Ohio State's getting votes. Nebraska's getting votes. Jake mentioned that he likes them. USC, Iowa.
Go ahead. You want to throw up in your mouth, I know, but go ahead, come out with it.
And Coach DeVries, congratulations, IU fans, has your Hoosiers 5-0 and in the top 25 in both polls.
I heard Incarnate Word's a pretty tough team this year, so it must have been a pretty good performance from them.
All the way up there. The Incarnate Word, they've been really impressive performance against Lindenwood?
Yeah.
Lindenwood?
Linwood, I think.
Yeah, we don't even know.
That's the point.
Yeah. Alabama A&M, man, it's been tough. Meanwhile, how's Purdue, who they've been playing, Jake?
Number 8 Alabama. They've played them. A team called Texas Tech. They're currently 20th. Were 15th.
They were 15th until Purdue disposed of them.
Yeah, beat them by 30.
And Memphis, known for their basketball a little bit. Thanks for joining the podcast, Michelle. Now, let's talk a little bit about the Purdue Boilermakers and their first 5 games of the season. Couldn't have gone much better. Of course, we have seen some vulnerabilities early in the year. Not impressive performances against Oakland and against Memphis. So this team, when they've showed up to play, when they've had the competition in front of them, have done everything that we've asked of them and more. The only questions now is, are they going to show up to play every day against the teams that are not quite on their level?
I feel like something Purdue hasn't necessarily struggled with in the past of, kind of playing down in the competition. So hope this team isn't the same, but looking ahead, I was watching a little bit of the St. John's and Iowa State game earlier today, and Iowa State looked pretty good, I will say. So they've got a really good guard that I think Purdue may have some trouble containing, but luckily it's in Mackey Arena, and I think Purdue can still come out with a win on that one. But should be a good game.
Do you guys need an IU fan to help you out and give the Boilermakers some credit? Oakland, close game. No TKR. Memphis, they got punched in the mouth and Purdue was in a situation they're not used to. They were actually
I'm
in the
just trying
foul
to say it
deficit.
wasn't perfect.
No, it's not. But what I want to say is I think Purdue was answering tests, and you have to give them a little bit of leeway because that bench, it's a new group that they're playing in. So, granted, and I know, and you're trying to be nice, but actually for me, I think Purdue's actually been pretty impressive so far.
We both agree. We talked about it somebody said on the podcast response on YouTube that we were drunk on how good Purdue was the other night. So we know how impressive they've been. And I'm really starting to like this Omer Mayer. He is so good and so smooth. And I think he's the answer to why Purdue is going to get over that hump this year.
Yeah, been really impressed with Oscar Clough as well. It seems like the past couple of games he's been averaging close to a double-double. So if he can do that every night, I think certainly helps. 6'11", 7 foot, pretty close to that.
Susie mentioned this as well, Jake. The other day, I don't know if it was the camera angle at the small gym in the Bahamas or what, but he looked huge.
Yeah.
He looked bigger the other night than he'd looked in the past, and I think it was that lower camera angle, but I was surprised at how much space he took up.
I'm sure the camera setup's not optimal in a ballroom like that, but
right. But it made for a cool kind of crowd atmosphere.
At least they came out with no injuries. When IU women went there, it was in the ballroom that Grace Berger injured her knee and missed a few weeks. So
we commented in one of the past episodes about the towel boys out there with wiping up the sweat and them not doing a very good job. So I think they got a talking to after the first day, and they were a little better. They were a little on their game the next day. But Purdue's looked pretty good. Rebounding could be better. TKR has been really a blessing with his ability to rebound the ball and really his effort in rebounding the ball. Something that wasn't necessarily there as much last year. So
I know I've said this on the podcast before. I'm not sure if Michelle's heard me say this. I have covered Trey since the first time I remember, I think it was 8th grade, maybe 9th. And I knew he was going to be a Division I basketball player. You could tell it right away. I did not imagine ever, and not a moment that I covered him in his 4 years of high school, that he would be I was hoping that he would one day be a contributor to a Purdue basketball team. That was my expectation of a guy that I covered in high school. He went to Purdue, took a redshirt year, and has become one of the all-time great Boilermakers, and it's an amazing story. And I think the most amazing thing about it is how often Painter and his staff have done that with players.
Take a look at, if you go back to the start of the 7-foot trend for Purdue, for A.J. Hammonds, they bring in Isaac Haas, they're battling every day in practice. Then you bring in Caleb Swanigan, they're battling every day in practice. Then you bring in guys like Matt Harms, and then eventually Zach Edey, Trey Kaufman-Rennie, and they're going at each other in practice every day and really, really making them into true players and people who can be All-Americans, All-Conference players. So,
do you not count Juwan Johnson because there's no bridge to A.J. Hammonds? Is that why you don't count Juwan Johnson in that?
He's not quite 7 foot. I know Caleb Swanigan's not quite 7 foot either, but Juwan Johnson, he was quite the player.
The first one. I think he was actually Painter's first big recruit. I'm not sure if it was he or Moore was first, but they were pretty close. Mm-hmm. And then they were joined by Robbie Hummel and his teammate, who I forgot his name, I guess.
He's Scott Martin.
Scott Martin, that's right. But forgot his name for good reason.
Yeah.
At least his leaving made room for Carson Cunningham, so at least there was that. Jake, Purdue's next game is on Friday at home against the Eastern Illinois Panthers?
I think it's Panthers. It's where Tony Romo.
Tony Romo, that's right. Panthers. Tony Romo. Anyway, Jake, you will be there. What's the last game you were at?
Last game I was at was last year. It was against UCLA. So it was the day before my birthday. I was able to go with my family and my girlfriend. She was up here for my birthday as well. So got to go to that, and that was a really cool experience. I
don't need an exact answer to this. Just give me a ballpark. What's Purdue's record while you're in Mackey Arena?
It's pretty good. Pretty good. For 3 years in high school, leading up to me going to Purdue, My family had season tickets, so was at quite a few games there.
And who were on those teams?
This would have been like 2016, I think, the start of that run. It's Vince Edwards, PJ Thompson, Dakota Mathias, Isaac Haas, that kind of group. Grady Eifert. And then you go into the Carson Edwards era. When I get to college, that first year is the first year post Carson Edwards. That year's a little rough. The COVID year. Then move into 2021. We get Jaden Ivey, who is a really good player. Obviously, brought in Zach Edey.
Some dude named Edey.
Yeah, yep. Some big Canadian came in, and then I graduated, and they brought in a guy named Braden Smith. You might have heard of him.
I've heard of him.
Yeah.
So you graduated in 19?
Graduated from Tipton in 2019. Graduated from Purdue in 3 years, so 2022.
Well, look at you. Look at you, graduate all fancy.
Save me some money.
Took me 5.5 years.
Hey, Jake, let me tell you about Jake. This is the kid when Purdue was it for him, his college. When he first got the acceptance letter, you were put like on a waiting list or something. And I'm like, well, Purdue's making a mistake. You'll get in and you're going to make them very proud once you do get in, because you're exactly the type of individual that Purdue wants representing their university. And he is, and he was sensational.
Yeah, thank you.
We're happy to have you as part of our team.
Yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate having me.
Let me tell you, I believe Purdue lost the first 7 games that I attended at Mackey Arena.
Okay.
I don't know why. They were good at the time that I was going as a child. They always good. My uncle was the announcer for Illinois for a few years, so I got to go to the Purdue-Illinois games, and 3 or 4 years in a row, Illinois happened to win every year at Mackey Arena. Then I was at a game when Glenn Robinson played for Purdue when Northwestern ended a 60-game losing streak in the Big Ten at Mackey Arena.
Wow.
I was an adult the first time Purdue won a game. It was against Ohio State when I was 19.
Wow.
And they haven't lost since. And I covered them for 2 years, and they never lost a game that I covered at Mackey Arena. They also had some of the worst NCAA tournament games I've ever. I was at the Little Rock game. I was at the Cincinnati game. I'd already had my stories written that they had won those games, both of them.
Wow.
So for a long time, I thought I shouldn't go because they lose every time that I go. So I think it's better if you're in the house. But Michelle talked about your passion for Purdue. Where does it come from, and what's it like for you when you're inside Mackey Arena, and what will it be like for you on Friday?
I think my passion, I can kind of remember my first ever time I was at Purdue. Went to like a football game with my aunt, one of my aunts. She got tickets and took me to a football game, and I just remember like really enjoying that, and really kind of fell in love with the campus. And I don't even think Purdue is really that good, but for whatever reason, I just kind of fell in love with it. Then started kind of following basketball, college basketball, and that's about the time when Robbie Hummel, Twin Moore, Juwan Johnson, the baby Boilers came in there, and obviously they were really good. So that just kind of grew my interest, and it's about an hour away from Tipton, so that helps as well. When I first was interested in Purdue, they're a big ag school. Grew up on a farm, so obviously was interested in that. And that's kind of how I got my interest, and fell in love with Purdue. I think Robbie Hummel had a big piece of that. I think he was probably my favorite before Zach Edey. He's probably my favorite player all time for Purdue. And Smith, he's got a puncher's chance of taking that over if they can win here in April. But Mackey Arena is a really special place, not only for me, but it's for a lot of Purdue fans, a lot of college basketball fans in general. I try not to take for granted that, we have one of the best experiences in college basketball right in our backyard, essentially. And really special place. Got a lot of good memories in there, and a lot of good wins.
I forgot when I was 18 and 19 years old, and I forgot to mention this, that Matt Waddell was part of that team that lost to Northwestern, that 60-game losing streak. But a couple of those games were games that Michelle sent me to go cover Matt Waddell, including one against the Fab Five when they were sophomores and ranked number 1 in the country, and won a game in Purdue as my losing streak continued.
Wow.
This segment was for Jake originally, but Michelle, I want you to feel free to join this little exercise here. Stop me when Purdue loses. Eastern Illinois on Friday, December 2nd at Rutgers. December 6th, Iowa State. December 10th, Minnesota. December 13th, Marquette. December 20th, Auburn. Neutral court in Indianapolis. December 29th, Kent State. January 3rd at Wisconsin.
That could be it right there. I mean, that could
Don't you say yeah, Jake.
Well,
go to your room.
The Kohl Center.
Wisconsin could always be a
The Kohl Center is a hard place to go win when Wisconsin is good. And so far, they've been pretty good. We'll have to see how the month of December plays out. But that, to me, of the ones you listed, that's the one that I first think they could lose. Not saying they will, but that's the first team I think that could hand them that loss.
Let's say they win that one. Washington at home, Penn State at home, Iowa at home. Then you go to USC and UCLA, and now you're probably talking.
Yeah.
Then Illinois at home, at IU, at Maryland. So I think you start to maybe even middle of January before you start looking at potential losses.
I will say I'm a little biased with the Wisconsin answer. Every year, my dad and I try to go to like an away Purdue basketball game, and Purdue played at Wisconsin the day after my 21st birthday. So my dad and I went. I brought a couple friends as well, and Purdue got beat on a buzzer beater by Chucky Hepburn.
I remember.
So yeah, I just have bad.
Don't even get me started on Wisconsin. The 2000 Elite Eight game, after Purdue had dominated them during the regular season, just twice as talented. Brian Cardinal deserved to be in a Final Four. This is our history. You don't even have half. You don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do know because Robbie Hummel was the worst one of all. As bad as 1988 was, as bad as some of the others were. 2010 and 11. Particularly 11, watching UConn and Butler playing that game that Purdue would have won that night. In 2011, UConn will always have Purdue's national championship. Go.
Yeah, I will say a schedule. I will say a team that's going to be interesting is Iowa with Ben McCollum. Yeah,
if it was at Iowa, maybe.
Yeah, but I still think it'll be interesting. I think they'll travel better because he's not as much as you might like laughing at McCaffrey and making fun of him. Those kinds of emotional outbursts at times, especially in this day and age, I think they do more to hurt your team than they do to help your team on the road. When it's every time, it's every game. If it happens, then it's probably not as bad a thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Grant Schaus, our IU guy, has joined us here at Stage 22 as we're about to talk about the Old Oaken Bucket. That'll be in a couple of days, so please join us for that one. We'll also have Grant and Mike Hutzel on the IU report that was earlier today, so go check that out as well. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Grant. No, Grant wasn't even here. Thanks, and thank you all for listening. Always appreciate it. Please do us a huge favor and share this podcast with a Purdue fan in your life. Help us spread the word that the Central Indiana Sports Report is here talking about what Central Indiana sports fans are talking about every single day.
Yeah, and I'm thankful for everybody here on this podcast. I'm thankful that Jake is able to come back to Indiana and come home. Got to do this live with him and in person live, and then he gets to spend Thanksgiving with his family. And I'm hoping all of our listeners have a great had a great Thanksgiving.
And she's grateful for the Boilermakers. Boiler up, Jake.
Boiler up.
The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie. Love you, Susie.
If you really love me, you'd take out the trash.
Guess I'm taking out the trash.